Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a Gunner Heat PC video. See, there was just a major update actually on April 1st. Happy April Fools, folks. We got the M1 Abrams. Yeah! Been excited about the M1 Abrams since I was actually first told about it and first became involved with showing off Gunner Heat PC on my YouTube channel. Long story, but basically talk between Action Scripter and I, and we talked to quite a while about the Abrams, and he leaked some information about the Abrams for me. That was months ago. We're finally getting the Abrams. It's been slow cooking. But so anyway, folks, what I'm going to do here first is I'm actually just going to show off the M60 for a little bit, just to kind of give you a baseline of how good the M1 Abrams is versus the M60. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a bunch of stuff here that's actually in development for both vehicles, especially like in the realm of thermal. There's some audio stuff that they're working on, some model stuff, but essentially now we have functional models. So what I'm showing here is the interior ammo racking system of the M60 right now, and I'm just engaging some of the target cheese on the proving ground. And the reason I'm using the proving ground for a majority of this video is because it's a controlled environment. So it makes things a lot easier when it comes to testing. And I mean, sometimes the game doesn't really want to cooperate all too well in the realm of how you expect things to work, and they end up not. We won't get into that. So this was actually quite a few takes to make all this work. I ended up having to break it up into sections. So just bear with me, folks. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually positioning the M60 up, and I'm going to shoot at targets on the move. Now, the one thing that the M60 could do well was it could shoot at moving targets because of how the ballistic computer system was set up, the fire control system, if you will. However, there was one major flaw. When going really slow, you could engage targets on the move. You had to be going really slow, and your accuracy wasn't very good. As you can see here in first gear, I was able to fire and hit that target. Now, if that target would have been further away or moving itself, I probably would not have been able to hit that target. Now, as you can see here, I'm trying to hit the target again. I'm still in first gear, and my shots are going wild. And while the gun is stabilized, the thing is the ballistics computer is not tied into the automotive system of the M60 main battle tank. So the fire control system does not know how fast I am actually moving. That's a flaw with the M60. It wasn't designed with this fire control system. It was actually designed with a coincidence rangefinder. I could really dive into depth here, but essentially the TTS model, the M60A3, had the early version of the M1 Abrams fire control system, and the problem is the M60 wasn't designed for that, so it really wasn't fully implemented with that fire control system at that time. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you here is I'm going to take the T55 here, and I'm going to shoot the turret muscle of the M60. Now, just give it a moment here. It does take a moment, and it actually takes 2 shots. As you can see, the ammo's starting to cook off, and kaboom, there goes the turret flying. That's because the M60 does not have a ready rack system with blow-off panels. It's pretty much got cased ammo rack with the M1 Abrams, which is what I was trying to show there, that does not have one. Now, one thing I'm trying to show here with the Abrams is the stowage system is actually randomized. So every time you spawn in with the M1 Abrams, the stowage system changes. Keep an eye on the backpacks especially, because they're the ones that stick out the most. Now, it's a little fickle. It doesn't always change. Sometimes it ends up being the same one, but there's like 4 or 5 different loadouts I've seen for the rack stowage system. Now, you can see here all the backpacks are on the side. Okay, let's move on here. Now, see, here's a different one where you got two backpacks on the back, one backpack on each side. Now, another thing I want to make notation of with the M1 Abrams is that the backpacks actually do have physics. It's most noticeable with the straps. The straps move around a little bit, so keep your eye on that as I'm driving up to the driving range. Now, the engine sound is actually, I don't think it's perfect. It's been a while since I've actually heard an Abrams in person, and I did mention something to Action Scripter. That is something that they're still working on and tweaking. You know, that's the thing with a project, a game project that is in early development that they're still working on. And they're still, you know, they're definitely working on a really good baseline here for the game. But I did bring that up to them because it was like, well, it looks good, but it's missing this, and this sounds a little off to me. So, all right, just engaging some targets here. Now, one thing you'll notice is you can actually see your range in the bottom. And if you look, there's a little square. And the little square disappeared. That's because the gun is not in a ready fire position. The square comes on, Dane fries are done. And once I pull the trigger, gun go boom. There you go. Watch for the birdie. And gun go boom. See? Industry term. So, you know, the M1 Abrams, it does great on shooting still targets. It does great on shooting moving targets. That's really all child's play. Now, if you notice there, when I moved the gun real sharply like that, I was still holding the E key. And that's because the ballistic computer, the fire control system for the M1 Abrams, as long as you're holding the palm switches, which is your right mouse button, and hold the E key, it will continuously update. Or sorry, you don't need to hold the E key. No, you only need to tap the E key as long as you're holding your right mouse button, and it will continuously update your turret movement. That's why the sight is changing. The sight's changing because I'm moving the turret. The sight moves in the direction of the turret. And as soon as I let go of the palm switches, or the right mouse button in this case, it automatically snaps right back to center. That's because it's dumping the lead from my target right away. So it does a much better job at engaging targets in that scenario. Now, showing you here that they actually do have the ammo rack system, and they do actually have the operational ready rack door, which is an important feature as part of the blow-off panels. Because as long as that door's shut, if the ammo goes off, the crew should be relatively safe. Short of somehow that door getting penetrated, you know, that kind of stuff, or the door being open. But essentially, if that door's closed, the crew should be safe. And I'm just showing you that it is operational. So that's actually an important feature of the M1 Abrams. Now, next thing I'm showing here is I'm quickly showing the armor package of the M1 Abrams. As you can see, the dark blue is the composite armor. The yellow is the fuel tanks. You have the greenish color there. Those are the sabot rounds. The orange is the heat rounds. And then the gray back there is the turbine engine. And they actually did really good modeling the turbine engine. I mean, it's not detailed, but general shape. I recognized that general shape right away because I seen a few Abrams engines when I was in the service. Now, also, you'll notice there, you see that strip there of 6 squares? That's the battery bank. I've seen that before, too. Yeah, the Abrams has 6 batteries to run the thing. And you can see the gun mantlet, the crew, the vision blocks, all that stuff. But the main thing I want to point out was the composite armor, the position of the fuel tanks, the position of the ammo racks. As you can see, there's actually an ammo rack right there below the TC, which that rack is a pain in the butt to get to, but you can get to it. Now, going to engage targets on the move. This is the thing the Abrams does better. This is the one reason we switched to the Abrams tank and why the Abrams tank was superior to the M60. Yes, the M60 did have better thermal vision. That's because the screens and the filters and everything else for the thermal vision was actually better. It was higher definition than what they had in the old M1 Abrams. Of course, that stuff would be quickly upgraded, but the thing that the Abrams had over the M60 more than anything else was right here, how good the gun stabilization was, how the fire control system would update on the fly. It would continuously update as long as you were holding the palm switches. All you'd have to do is laze your target if you needed to change the range. And as long as you were holding the palm switches, it would update. And then, of course, once again, you can dump the lead by releasing the palm switches. Now, I kind of smack into some trees here because I'm owning shit and wasn't paying attention. So let's get the Abrams back into position so I can show you more. And that's the big thing about this. That's what this is all about. This is one reason I was excited actually about the Abrams being added into the game, because it's actually a tank I'm actually trained on. It's a tank I know about. Now we're just going to take it. I'm actually going to zoom in here and I'm going to laze this target, and then I'm going to start moving even before I engage. Actually, I think I started moving first, which yes, I did. Now, got the range, got a good angle of the target, fire, and hit. And as you can see, that target's moving one way and I'm moving the other. And the ballistics computer was able, well, the fire control system was able to calculate that. Now, I did miss that target there, and that was me, not the tank, folks. There we go. Got the hit on that shot. And I just take a couple shots here while firing on the move. Now I'm firing a target that's going in the same direction as me, and actually the target is going faster than I am, from what I can tell. Okay, now let's get to the next part. Now this is just to show you how the ready rack works, or sorry, how the blow-off panels work. I fire a round from the T-55A into the back of the turret of the M1 Abrams. And there we go. I got the ammo. Now here's actually the great thing about how they did this. They definitely did this right. The ammo that was below the TC is actually still safe because that ammo did not get hit. Now as you can see there, the turret is burning. You can see the ammo, that's where the TC would be sitting. And the other nice thing is the main gun is still loaded. America, fuck yeah. Coming again to save the motherfucking day. Yeah, America, fuck yeah. Freedom is the only way. Terrorists, your game is through. 'Cause now you have to answer to America, fuck yeah. Had to do that one for the memes. But okay, folks, let's talk more about the update here. Now, this is the April Fool's mission. They actually gave us an April Fool's mission. And you'd be really surprised what came around the corner at me. A T-34-85. I never expected that. There's a bunch of other stuff they added as well. One thing, they've added a bunch of new missions, as you can see here. They've also added a mission overview screen, which this is the April Fool's mission, April 1st. Just give you a second here to read over it. Just pause the video, and I'll get rid of that. That way you can watch me engage some T-34-85s. This was really memey. And you'd be surprised how many times it takes for a T-34-85 to actually damage an Abrams. It's got to hit the thin spots for sure. And it can damage some of the other things, but they also added a new map, which is the Point Alpha map. And the nice thing is about this map is it actually does have some urban suburb type environments to it. So that's actually pretty cool in itself. Now, there was also a developer stream on April 1st where he talked a little bit about the update. It was about an hour-long stream, and they talked about various things. And they also leaked a few things here as well. They talked, Action Scripter actually had talked about the T62 for a little bit. And it's actually I believe he said it was the T62A, which is a more modernized version of the T62 with the 115 millimeter gun. Let's be honest here, the T62 is not even, it's about as good as the T55, except for it's got a 115 millimeter gun, which is a little bit better, but I don't think I would consider even that being effective against the Abrams, to be all honest, except for, of course, some of the thinner areas. And that being said, too, even the T55 is going to struggle against the Abrams here. Now, unfortunately, another thing that they leaked was the BMP-1. I think they've talked about the BMP-1 before, and I swear to God I've brought up the BMP-1 before, but I'm not 100% sure. So if I have, I apologize, folks. I'm just not 100% sure. And I went through my videos, and I couldn't remember what video it was. And yeah, there's already a lot of Gunner Heat PC videos up on my YouTube channel, so I was not going to take the time and watch all those videos every single minute just to find out what video I may have talked about the BMP-1 in. But this is the first time I've talked about the T62, which I believe there's been hints about it before. And going by what Action Scripter had said, it sounds like we're going to be getting the T62 sometime soon-ish. I would guess maybe 3 months. You know, because obviously they got to do the final details. They're being very meticulous about how the vehicles work, how the vehicles look, how the vehicles feel. So it might be a little bit before we actually get to see it in game. Just be patient, folks. You know, it's a 5-man development team, and they're making actually a pretty massive game. They're getting very detailed about the project. I know I only quickly went over the Point Alpha map. I'll actually show it again here if I can find it. Sorry. There we go. That's the Point Alpha map. Sorry, holding shit. I'm familiar with maps like this because this is what the maps look like in the military. It's the same type of map that the U.S. Army uses. But here we go. We're finishing this mission up. Now, I'm actually surprised. The T-3485 is a little bit tougher than I thought it would have been. There was a couple times where I had to put a few extra rounds into the T-3485s. I was honestly expecting pretty much one pop and it's done, based on where I shot them. And there was times where the shells were entering the firing compartment and the crew wasn't dying. I suspect it was probably over-penetration more than anything else. The rounds were probably over-penning the armor. I'm not sure if they have that mechanic in place, but it didn't feel like I was getting the effectiveness nor the spalling that I should have been. But anyway, folks, there you go. That's the update. Wanted to show this footage of the April 1st mission because I have no idea how long it's going to stay in game. Kind of want to preserve it for future people that get into Armored Warfare and has never seen that mission before. And I definitely want to get in depth and talk about the M1IP finally being added into the game. Definitely stoked about that. And I've already been popping some T-72s and T-55s with it. So it's been fun times, to say the least, folks. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this Gunner Heat PC video. And once again, have yourself a wonderful day.